police. They fluoridate the water and they say it's for your teeth. They calling for the murder of the rights of free speech. Cease and desist cause the system is weak. They can't exist if you...
Dr. King mentioned includes hydrogen, fluoride, and silicate. Arsenic is present at barely detectable levels. The fluoride compound that we add to our water has been tested for things like arsenic, lead, a range of potential contaminants, and it's been certified to be at safe levels.
But there is low levels of arsenic in the water system.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just before we continue, with regard to the credentials of our delegates, we knew that Dr. King was going to be here for some time, and I hope there's no intention of trying to embarrass anybody by suggesting that they may not be expert enough. So if I may, before I take my next speakers, Dr. King was appointed Chief Medical Officer of Health in 2009. She's an internationally recognized expert in immunization, infectious disease, and pandemic preparedness. Prior to joining the ministry, Dr. King was the Director General of the Centre for Immunization and Respiratory Infectious Diseases at the Public Health Agency of Canada, a position she held since 2007. This was her latest role at Health Canada, including Director General of Pandemic Preparedness. Dr. King received her medical degree from McMaster University in Hamilton, certification in family medicine from the University of Calgary, and served as family physician in Northern Alberta from 85 to 89. She received a master's degree in health sciences from the University of British Columbia, and in 1992 became a fellow of the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Canada in community medicine. She's been in the public health field since 1992, served as a unit medical officer of health in Vancouver and medical officer of health at Burnaby. She's also an adjunct professor of the School of Population and Public Health at the University of British Columbia. Dr. King is on 2 World Health Organization advisory committees on pandemic preparedness and has been a consultant to the World Health Organization on polio, SARS, and influenza, and to the World Bank and to the Canadian International Development Agency on emerging infectious diseases. And she is a member of the Pan American Health Organization Technical Advisory Group on Immunization and belongs to the World Health Organization Africa Region Polio Eradication Certification Commission. She served in the Global Alliance on Immunization, and I hope that none of us are challenged in our credentials. Now, may I go to Councillor McCaddy.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and I was going to say welcome, Dr. King, but welcome back, I guess.
I want to provide a point of order.
There's
no point of order there.
There was no challenge of credentials, it was clarification of credentials.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor McCaddy.
Let me try that again. Welcome back to Hamilton with your McMaster background. I just wanted to preface my questions just to say that we dealt with this issue a couple of years ago was when we were over at the Convention Center. Dr. Mackey will remember, and it's a very difficult issue for councillors because, as you can tell by the list of folks we have to speak to us today, there are a lot of folks who are asking questions and raising data that they've compiled and this sort of thing. And we're not experts, as the mayor has indicated, and we need to rely on the experts to address this issue. But it just makes councillors nervous, I guess, when there's a lot of folks on one side and when there's public health on the other side, and public health is just so definitive on this issue. That always makes me nervous too, because there's always lots of gray. Maybe not lots of gray in this case, but so I just wanted to preface my questions on that basis, and we're not, of course, making a decision today on fluoridation in Hamilton and our drinking water. We're just taking this opportunity to get the update from Dr. Mackey, and of course, very lucky to have Dr. King here in Hamilton. So as I re-looked at this issue over the weekend, preparing for the meeting this morning, or this afternoon rather, I was looking at I guess the University of Calgary report. It was prepared April 2011, funded by the Public Health Agency of Canada, titled Drinking Water Fluoridation in Canada, Review and Synthesis of Published Literature. And the part that I wondered about, and I just don't know how you handle these kind of comments, and I appreciate your thoughts on it. It says some of the comments in here are the amount of published research on the impact of drinking water fluoridation on oral health in Canada pales in comparison to the number of communities that have implemented, or in some cases discontinued the intervention. And then it says a surprising lack of research on the implication of drinking water fluoridation for inequities in oral health in Canada. I guess that's getting at the issue of how do we help folks in poverty on fluoride. And then it speaks to this issue, I think you spoke about, Dr. King, a moment ago. And your literature reviews are always selective. They have to be selective at some point. They go through a certain literature search methodology, and you naturally miss some information out there. And they said they may have missed documents that provide an insight of fluoridation if it was not a prominent objective of the study. And then the last thing it says here, I'll raise, Mr. Mayor, is it says to ensure a fair hearing on both sides of the debate, it would be important to identify the sources of the anti-fluoridation literature and to include it in a comprehensive synthesis. I think getting at the point that they may miss some of that stuff because it may be gray literature or perhaps not in the usual journals that are out there. So just struggling a bit where we've got such apparently polarized views, Mr. Mayor, and no question within public health it's pretty positive. I don't know about 100%, but 99% in favor of fluoridation. That's been clear to us the last couple of years, clear today. So how do you address some of those issues that they raised in that synthesis paper from Calgary prepared for the Public Health Agency of Canada, Mr. Mayor?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this was part of the report that we wrote for the board today, so maybe I'll start the comment and see if Dr. King wants to add anything. I think the most important things that I'll try and focus on those. It seemed like there were a lot of questions there, so please let me know if I missed anything.
Sorry.
But the question about why isn't there a lot of research from communities that are discontinuing or initiating water fluoridation, I think that's a salient point to most municipal programs. We could benefit from more research on just about every program that we implement at the municipality. Is probably something like 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 programs that are newly implemented that actually have a significant research component. So that is the missed opportunity that this person talks about. Fortunately, there are more communities that are doing this sort of research. You heard about the Dryden example, where discontinuing water fluoridation resulted in a 26% increase in cavities in that community. These sorts of things are beginning to be done. As you know, Waterloo discontinued water fluoridation about, 2 years ago now, and they've initiated a research project there as well, so they should have some local and relevant data. And then maybe you could remind me what I missed there.
Yeah, I think it was the sort of gray literature question. The anti-fluoridation literature may not be in the same journals.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to suggest that might be okay. You mentioned that every review is selective at some level. When you do a systematic review, the level at which you're selecting is quality. So, in my opinion, it's okay not to look at low quality studies.
You can kiss my fucking ass if you think I'm gonna work off a fraudulent debt for the rest of my life. They told us freedom wasn't free and then they jacked up the price. Put a tax on your rights, but they packaged it nice, so we all bought it up without asking the right fucking questions. But life is a lesson we learn, don't you know?
Greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.